Você acompanha o programa Ciência, Espiritualidade e hoje nós vamos dar continuidade às nossas entrevistas realizadas com o professor Amit Goswami. Vamos acompanhar um pouco mais da entrevista realizada pelo Marcelo Cardoso.
So, and once you achieve this process, what is the relationship of going deep into the consciousness and at the same time realization and achievement in the world? What is...
So we are at a level of our evolution where there are a lot of problems outside. And there are a lot of people who don't even have access to meaning processing. In other words, there's a lot of new souls who really need help. Mm-hmm. We are kind of old souls who are already creative, who are already looking at the meaning of their lives. So we have responsibility. So as we go on, becoming enriched in the inner process, we start taking more and more responsibility. Mm-hmm. Because our consciousness is non-local, fundamentally we begin to recognize that all of us are one. I cannot just go ahead and become enlightened, become great in terms of this very creative, very wonderfully expressive mind and see others still basically in the gutter in terms of thought. Mm-hmm. So how to improve that condition of the others becomes a paramount idea. Mm-hmm. So what we do then is to investigate the archetypes in such a way. This is why quantum activism. We are now ready to be quantum activists. Quantum activist not only is activist in the sense of changing the outer without changing myself, which mm-hmm. never has worked, mm-hmm. but quantum activist is neither a spiritual seeker who just wants to be enlightened on his own. Yeah. A quantum activist has a balance between inner work and outer work. Mm-hmm. So quantum activist wants to work on himself or herself and also change the world in the process. Mm-hmm. Change the way that the new science is telling us. Rupert Sheldrake, a couple of decades ago, did very important work which suggests that if only few of us make very important changes, those changes will be non-locally mm-hmm. taken by entities called morphogenetic mm-hmm. fields. Mm-hmm. And these entities then can be inherited by the entire human race. Mm-hmm. So we can play with this kind of idea. We can start making these morphogenetic changes, morphogenetic field changes, which also are changes in our brain, in the form of brain circuits. But we can start making them collectively, because one of the ideas of the theory that is emerging is that if we do it collectively, then the chances are better that they will get established in the whole human race mm-hmm. quite quickly. So this is where inner and outer, all these creative processes that we have known for some time, they're now meeting together. Quantum activism balances inner and outer together. Because if we do inner work with a lot of people, if we do it with organizations in mind, if we do it with harmony in mind, with help of internet, with a lot of people, engaging a lot of people, then we can really change this morphogenetic fields in the desired direction, mm-hmm. and that will become established in the race quickly.
And that's where personal process integrate with collective process.
With the collective process. And
if I understand well, as the center of gravity of human beings are still on a conditioning level, a few groups of individuals engaging in such a journey like you were referring can help transform the environment where it can induce a process of transformation of the entire humanity. Is that
That is a good statement, and I will even clarify it a little further, because we know a little more about this conditioning. The conditioning has produced two things. Well, our thought process is conditioned. But even more dangerously, there is conditioning in the way we feel. Our animal ancestry has given us brain circuits in the limbic brain processes that produce the base emotions, anger, lust, fear. All these are base feelings for which we have limbic brain circuits. mind gives meaning to these feelings. So when human beings started developing, evolving, in that evolution process, they made neocortical brain circuits which give meaning to these base feelings. And so we had emotions. Emotions are a combination of feeling and thought. This is what we call an emotion. This emotional brain circuits is unique to the human being. Animals don't have the capacity of giving meaning to feelings. So they have what can be called pure feelings. When feelings get mixed with thoughts, then there is this negative, positive, because human beings can make that judgment with thought. This is good for me, this is not good for me. So we have this negative and positive, negative emotions, positive emotions. We have inherited this from our ancestors, these negative emotional brain circuits. So what happens with conditioned people is that they cannot help themselves. They fall into this negative emotional brain circuit, and that prevents them from any kind of meaningful life. Because every time they try, they would be upset with something or other that will trigger the negative emotional brain circuit, and they cannot do too much to change their lot, to change their situation. But if they inherited positive emotional brain circuits from this process that I was telling you about, that we do collectively, and they don't have to do anything. They will just take the advantage of being part of humanity. Right. So if they had the positive emotional brain circuits to balance this negative emotion, then their thoughts are free. Then they can just simply use rational thinking to get where they want. Because we have now a civilization where the rational thinking is clearly telling us what to do. But people cannot do it, not because they don't want to. Everybody wants to be creative. But they cannot follow the creative process because of these damn negative emotions. If we can balance them, humanity will be so free to pursue their creativity that the world will change very fast.
Yeah, it's very interesting, this idea, because in the Spiritism there is this belief that the earth is in the process of this transition from being a planet of death and suffering and karmic, shifting for more a Shangri-La place, more a evolving place, regeneration place, which is pretty much you are explaining to us, which is a beautiful promise for every one of us.
And now we can deliver. It's more than a promise now because we understand what has gone on. This is where the quantum physics, the advances in quantum physics, advances in neurophysiology, this neuroplasticity is a very recent discovery, that we have the capacity of making brain circuits at any age. This is a very, very important discovery that has happened. And combining with what creativity researchers have done, they have really given us the details of quantum aspects of the creative process. And so we now have an understanding of what we have been doing so far in our history, but blindly. People have been creative all over. People have been extremely spiritual all over the world. People like Buddha, people like Jesus. This is our real heritage. That's tremendous. We can take pride of it. But not too many people. Why? Because it was a blind pursuit. They didn't quite know what they were doing. They were not aware of part of the process, namely the quantum part of the process. We had to wait till modern science came, and all these years, hundreds of years of pursuit of science gave us quantum physics. Now we are beginning to understand the process. And once we understand the process and engage with the process with understanding, it is much simpler. Much simpler.
Vamos agora fazer mais uma breve pausa e voltamos já já.